Hey there, Neddy here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In a previous video, I shared some art advice that I feel are slightly misunderstood. This got me thinking about another topic that is also commonly misunderstood: the concept of same face syndrome. If you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with this concept and maybe you already have a place where you stand on this topic. Most response I've seen usually lie on the negative end, with multiple videos on the internet actively teaching people how to quote-unquote cure this syndrome. But what's to deal with same face syndrome and all the negativity towards it? In my early days of drawing, I actually didn't know what same face syndrome was. In fact, I even actively tried to get my characters to always look the same, intentionally. Why is this, you may ask? Well, let's talk about how I think same face syndrome is developed in the first place. To put it simply, same face syndrome is a natural shorthand to art. I brought up the idea of shorthands in my previous video, but basically it's an easy, simple and natural way of expressing what we draw. It's most common with beginners who don't necessarily know how certain things work, like proportions and the planes of the head, for example. So they automatically resort to their own way or their own understanding of how a face looks. In some cases, with more advanced artists, they automatically draw faces with features that they naturally find appealing. But same face syndrome can also be intentional, like in my case, for example. As a beginner, a lot of my favorite artists that I looked up to back then drew their characters in such a unique way, and I wanted to do the same. I wanted my work to be distinct, so I felt I had to draw my characters with similar facial features to make that unique to me. And yes, if this sounds familiar, you're absolutely right. I thought having same face syndrome was equal to having an art style. But obviously that isn't the case. There are multiple artists who draw characters with different facial features, body types, and yet have very recognizable work. With all that being said, does that make same face syndrome a good thing or a bad thing? Honestly, I think we're all asking the wrong questions, because in my opinion, there's truly not a right answer to that. On one end, same face syndrome can hinder your growth as an artist. If you're someone who hides behind the mask of "it's my art style," then I want you to ask yourself this simple question: is it really my art style, or am I just running away from what I actually want to draw because I can't and don't understand how to? As I mentioned earlier, a lot of beginner artists tend to stick to their shorthands because it feels familiar and safe, or they feel intimidated to learn the knowledge that can help them improve. So they go the easy route and call it their art style. Now, I know I've mentioned this in about 5 videos at this point, but I'm going to save the art style talk for the future, as I want to make a dedicated video on that topic. Moving on, I should also mention, if you plan on being a character designer working in film, games and animation, then you probably want to learn how to draw unique and expressive characters to tell their story. The idea of calling yourself a character designer when all your characters have the same features, unfortunately, isn't going to land you a job in the industry. But honestly, what if you don't want to work in the entertainment industry? And what if you do have the knowledge and understanding to draw expressive and unique characters, but still want to draw them with the same features? To be honest with you, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and you shouldn't be ashamed to do so. I think instead of asking, is same face syndrome a good thing or a bad thing, we should ask, what is my goal as an artist? Because at the end, that's honestly all that matters. There are amazing artists who make paintings of characters with the same face and sell them to collectors who admire their unique form of expression. They make this choice for various reasons. Maybe they want to maintain a certain tone across their work, or maybe it appeals to an audience they're trying to reach. This can also apply if you want to do something similar, but maybe on a small scale, like having your own art shop and selling prints and stickers. The most important thing to know here is where you're headed and being intentional. If you want to get hired for a job, especially in the commercial space, and don't want to leave the comfort zone, just keep in mind that you can't expect companies to adjust to you simply because you don't want to meet those requirements. But at the same time, you don't have to listen to people who say you have to fix the syndrome and end up forcing yourself. Maybe just reconsider that career path and try something else. Here's your reminder that everyone's art journey is different, and that's okay. In my case back in the past, I did struggle while trying to make my characters look the same each time. but at some point I eventually got better at it. Surprisingly, not long after, I started feeling conflicted. Not only did I feel restricted by always having to draw eyes and lips the same way over and over, I felt my characters lacked personality. Around this time, my taste and interest started to shift, and I started admiring artists who were able to draw characters who looked unique and different. To me, this felt more humane, expressive, and looked way more freeing than conflicting myself to certain features. I love creating characters with unique faces that showcase their personalities, which is also an advantage since I am studying to become a concept artist. However, I never hold myself back from drawing characters with features that I would consider my shorthands, especially when working on my personal art, simply because it's just fun and appealing to me. The important thing is having the skills to make that decision in the first place. And if you can prove you're not simply hiding behind the same face syndrome mask and claiming it's your style, then I see no reason why this should be considered a bad thing. Anyway, that's all I have to say regarding same face syndrome. As usual, if you agree or disagree, that's fine. I just wanted to share my thoughts on this topic. I know this is a short video, so if you enjoyed it, then you might enjoy my previous video where I share 5 misunderstood art advice. I'll link that below and in the end screen as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!